Hey, welcome back everybody. Matthew, Watty's channel. Once again, in today's episode, we are continuing on with the WWE Mattel Retros review videos. So, we've looked at the first 6 figures from Series 1, originally released in 2016. And now here in Series 2, the first of several 2017 releases. Now, we are looking at 6 figures today. Just like Series 1, the first couple series are the only series that produced 6 figures or more. Every other series is basically knocked down to about 4 figures. Now, there are probably, I'd say, 2 of my least favorite figures in here. And you'll pretty much know immediately which figures they are. And if it wasn't for the pose itself, they're pretty solid figures. But you know, basically any action figure with this particular body type, it's basically going to be the crap of the lot of figures, unfortunately. But a lot of, you know, name recognition here, a lot of stars I grew up watching, so that's somewhat important. The first one I want to look at, and again, when we look at the figures, we're going to be looking at them in order of the back of the card. Now, for me, an absolute must-have was Kane. And I know Kane was, originally he was like Isaac Yankum, DDS. And for whatever reason, I actually really liked that character. I thought, you know, he had a, you know, even guys like Duke the Dumpster Drosy, which is kind of interesting. I mentioned him because, who was it? Not Charlotte Toys. Grapplers and Gimmicks. They actually have the Dumpster Drosy as one of the new releases. But guys like that, they may not have had the most, you know, incredible gimmick ever, but they were just fun characters to watch wrestle, you know what I mean? And when he transitioned to Kane, you're talking about one of the most legendary characters of all time. And it's kind of sad to think about it. Kane has never actually won a Royal Rumble, but I think he's appeared in the most Royal Rumbles in WWF history / WWE history. And I don't know if he has the all-time elimination record or something, but you know what? Normally he'll come in, he'll throw out a couple guys, or he'll clear a ring immediately. And of course, he'll be eventually tossed out himself. And let's be honest, in reality, that would never work. You can't come in and just completely dominate like that and just be tossed out like nothing, you know? It's kind of like Jim Duggan and One Man Gang in the '88 Royal Rumble. There is no way Jim Duggan was getting One Man Gang over the ropes. But what does he do? He falls down at the ropes, kind of lowers the ropes a little bit, allowing One Man Gang to go sailing over. And that's kind of a lot of stuff that you would find with guys like Undertaker or Kane and whatnot. The more, you know, difficult guys to eliminate. Kane, just like The Undertaker, a gazillion other figures, has the same exact pose. Arms spread apart, a little slamming motion. Again, if Hasbro had continued on into the latter half of the 90s, you would have gotten a Mabel. You definitely would have gotten a Diesel. You would have gotten a Goldust. You probably would have gotten a Jeff Jarrett. You would have gotten a Kane. Maybe guys like the Godwins and you know, Duke Dumpster Drosy. You know, folks like that. Those guys would have all been part of that Hasbro roster if the line had continued on. It's a sad reality that you had to, as fans of the line, that you would have to wait over 20 years to get those figures that were supposed to have been released, you know, like your Rhythm and Blues Greg Valentine, a more modern Lex Luger, not the narcissist Lex Luger, but the American hero Lex Luger as well. But, you know, it's nice that we at least, as collectors and as fans, get to appreciate these figures later on in life. Kane, to me, definitely a highlight piece, one of the more important characters from the Mattel Retros to collect. And I would say, if you're someone who's on a budget, or if you simply want to collect your favorite figures or your favorite wrestlers, you could do no wrong. Kane, absolutely amazing. Next one up is The Rock. Now, I don't remember if he was like the Nation of Domination Rock or what have you, but I was not, like, I don't have a lot of fond memories of The Rock from childhood as a teenager or whatnot, because I think he came in, you know, like towards the end of the 90s. 97, 98, 99, 2000, I don't know. I know I saw a little bit of him before I completely stopped watching wrestling, but not a lot to actually be able to gravitate towards him and be like a super fan. And what he's meant to, you know, wrestling over the past 2 decades, I mean, this is your Hulk Hogan of the modern era. At least he's a much more successful actor than Hogan, but Hogan's movies, I've always enjoyed them, but for whatever reason, they just never did well. And it's not like the man, you know, can't act. I mean, every time he steps into the ring, he's putting on a performance. The Rock, he's just, I think the movie Walking Tall really set him aside as an action star. Another quality figure, a fantastic look. And what are we looking at? Just another slamming motion. Now this guy, for whatever reason, he kind of... yeah, maybe not. I was going to say he kind of reminds me of like Razor Ramon a little bit, but not really. Maybe I was seeing it kind of like cockeyed or something. But I don't know, maybe if you slap a little mustache on there, you'll have like the 1980s AWA Razor Ramon or something. But, you know, great detail throughout the figure. You know, great look, playability wise. All the figures that have open hands, is that really a detriment for play if you're a kid or adult or whoever wants to fool around with these? No. I've said it before, Hulk Hogan from Hasbro Series 1 and British Bulldog Series 4, Ultimate Warrior Series 2. Those are some of the more played with action figures throughout the course of my life. Now, the single most played with figures, yeah, they're going to be like your Series 4 Undertaker or Bret Hart. But, you know, those had so much use as from childhood. So I never had a problem with this open hand. But, of course, you know, the hand closed punching motion is always preferable. So that is the Rock. And we move on to... again, I know I say this about a lot of figures, especially, you know, since we're only 2 series in, and it seems like every other figure I pick up, I say it's a must-have. But come on, this one, a must-have. And it is Mankind. I didn't really know him as Mick Foley, or I didn't know him as Cactus Jack, or especially Dude Love. Like, what the heck was that all about? But as Mankind... he had that kind of crazy gimmick, like the psychotic Bob Backlund, and the, what was it, a steel cage match with The Undertaker and Mick Foley. You know, they just absolutely destroyed that ring, and you put 2 hardcore competitors up against each other, you could talk about one of the greatest matches ever. And with the Mandible Claw, he has one of those figures where, unlike, you know, other figures like your Undertaker from Series 4, you know, again, a ton of other figures, he has that, not really extended arm, because the extended arm basically goes like this on the Hasbros, where they're kind of like out like this, and then go like that, so on. This one's kind of like open hand like this, and just, anyways, you get what I mean. Still quality figure, and again, that little spinning action, clothesline, what have you, that's beautiful. That is a absolute work of art right there. There's probably 20 figures in the series that I would say that you 100% had to get. And Mankind, to me, is one of those guys, 100%. I wasn't collecting, again, I didn't start collecting until 21. If I was a collector back in 2016 when these figures first came out, I said in the last video, when I first saw the Mattel Retros, theoretically, because they were so reminiscent to the Hasbros and they were a throwback to the Hasbros, you would think I would absolutely jump at the opportunity to own the Mattel Retros. But I saw them, they just weren't as good as Hasbro. And to me, as fantastic as a job as like Toys does, or Zombie Sailors, etc., there will never be anything like Hasbro. You throw in the action features, which are incredible. You got these awesome built pieces like the Toys, etc. But that line for me is absolute, is childhood at its best. As far as playing, being able to play with my toys. Yeah, Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, I mean, those were just something you collected, but our wrestling figures, we actually made use out of those. And had a lot of fun matches. So the Mattel Retros, when they came out and I saw them, I'm like, yeah, it would be nice to have some, but I mean, I wasn't really into it. But I say that about a lot of collections, a lot of different toy lines, and I ended up picking up not only a select few, but I pick up probably the entire line for most, and a good chunk of other lines. So eventually, yeah, it did kind of grow on me. And because these figures were all purchased on card, you're talking about what, $5, possibly when they first came out. I don't know if they were that cheap. In this day and age, I don't think you could find action figures, especially wrestling action figures, for $5. I know I bought a couple cards, and it says like Five Below, the store Five Below, and it had like $5 price tags on it. So maybe they were like dump bins, whatever you want to call them, that maybe they were selling in those because they couldn't sell. But when I purchased them on card off eBay, you're looking at $30 here, $50 over there, $125 there. So none of these figures were, affordable. And it sucks. Especially when you turn around and you try to sell figures like Steve Austin on card or Ultimate Warrior, etc. And I probably paid like $30 plus for each of those packages when I first got my personal set. And then later on, when I ended up with duplicates, I can't even sell them for $15. They don't sell, so it's... I guess everybody that has these figures, or everybody that wants these figures, already has them. So that was Mankind, and again, a must-have. Now, a character that I absolutely love. Not a non-WWF wrestler, somebody that I completely respect, because when everyone was jumping from WCW to WWF for that bigger payday, he said he was going to stay loyal to the company and he wasn't going to go do what everybody else was doing and move to WWF for that pay increase. And he was a long-tenured WCW wrestler, champion, absolutely amazing talent. Whether you like the Surfer Sting, the Crow Sting, Wolfpack Sting, Sting is, and will probably forever be, in my opinion, the face of the WCW franchise. And obviously, when WCW was absorbed by WWF, obviously, it was either work on the indie circuit, go overseas, or be a part of the WWF organization in some capacity. And I think he went to like AEW or something. I know I've got a couple of his figures on AEW cards, so... Sting, character-wise, absolutely. Needed to be made. Thank you so much. That's as far as it goes. From an aesthetic point of view, as far as the face paint and the shirt goes on this figure, a solid look all around. But I've talked about Hasbro's Ric Flair, Hasbro's 1-2-3 Kid, Hasbro's Rick Rude. They all have that, arm up with, like head punching motion. I think that's one of the worst figures in the entire Hasbro line. It's essentially an unplayable figure. The Series 2 Bear Hug Hulk Hogan, unplayable figure, but it displays really well. And so that's the reason that I think a lot of people can't put Hulk Hogan Series 2 among their least favorite figures. I think I found the figure or figures because there are multiple like this. Again, Mattel, they reutilize same bodies just like Hasbro did. And I think this might be one of the worst action figures ever created. Why? Yes, number one, fused legs. I can live with fused legs for the right figure. In Hasbro, the Samu and Fatu head shrinker figures are absolutely fantastic. I really like the Koko Beware figure, even though it's fused legs. Kamala, fused legs, solid figures. The rockers, not so much, but the fused legs, not preferred, but it's serviceable in a certain capacity. This is terrible. This makes the figure extra small, and what's even worse, unlike those other figures like Kamala, Koko Beware, where the arms are nice and spread apart, where you could actually use them as playable wrestling figures, look at the arm positioning of this figure. It's not straight out like your Kevin Owens in Series 1, or your Smash from Hasbro in Series 1, etc. His hands are like literally like in just like this. This is an unplayable figure. Absolutely horrendous. If you gave this figure the right pose, incredible piece. I would say it would be a must-have. But for this particular line, Mattel destroyed a perfect character. I am not pleased with that one, not one bit. And, you know, unlike Hasbro, where you kind of lower the body like a, what was it, Marty Jannetty, I think. You lower the body, he shoots up. And the other figures like Shawn Michaels and, you know, again, all the other figures that have fused legs with they got the little piece on the back, you push it down, and their head pops up. You know, Jimmy Snuka is another bad one. They kind of went with the Marty Jannetty Series 2 rockers, where there's no piece on the back, and his head doesn't pop up. A worthless figure. I would stay clear from this. Unless you're like me and you have OCD and you absolutely have to have the complete collection. This to me is one of the least, you know, valuable figures. Next up. Another quality figure is coming from Steve Austin. Now you've got, what was it? Stunning Steve Austin. What were they called? Hollywood Blondes, I believe. Was that with Brian Pillman back in WCW? And then when he came to WWF, I remember as like ringmaster or whatnot, and he fell under Ted DiBiase's $1 Million Corporation as well. And you know, later on in the Attitude Era, I think last video I called it Aggressive Era, but Attitude Era, Stone Cold, 316, yada yada. He's just one of the more fun characters. Again, he makes a pretty solid actor. And that's, you know, 50% of wrestling. 50% talent, 50% acting. And, you know, he was in a movie, what was it? He was like a cop, and then he was sent to prison on like this island, and he had to fight for his life. It's killing me. But it'll come to me eventually. And if I remember, I'll put it in the comments. Steve Austin, I've never been like a super huge fan, I wouldn't say. But, again, he's an interesting character, and I don't despise Steve Austin. I like him a lot. I don't think I consider myself to be a super fan of his. And in this respect, with this particular figure, you know, they really did him justice. And I kind of like that this little knee pad thing right here kind of moves around. Just like your Mankind figure, the arm, you know, shoots out, has that working action with a little clothesline. Sometimes with the Hasbros, when you know, like Series 3 Boss Man or Undertaker from Series 4 or 8, when you open up the arm, or you do the little action, the arm shoots closed and you can actually punch the person in the face. Not always. Most of the time it's just like that, but Steve Austin, a must-have. He has name recognition. He has name recognition, and he has an absolutely fantastic figure. Would it be one of my top 20 selections to go after if I was starting this line over and had to reacquire these figures? Probably not, but you could do a lot worse than a Steve Austin. And in fact, when it's all said and done, if I was making a list of my favorite figures, he might be on that list of top 20 that I have to get. So, but an overall quality figure, and very simple, just pure black all around. Good looking figure all around. And they should have made Goldberg like this. I mean, it may have confused people because the Steve Austin Goldberg figures kind of look similar to an extent, but this one is solid. And what they did to Goldberg and Sting and this next guy, unforgivable. Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Now, I do remember Triple H from childhood. When he first came in, he was like this, I don't know, English nobleman, you know, gentleman type and whatnot. And, you know, he was a pretty decent wrestler. I remember the first time I really paid attention. You know, he was a big guy, strong guy, you know, physically in great shape. But, like, I never looked at him as like this, you know, built monster guy, strength-wise. I mean, not really. And then I saw him in, what was it, Blade 2, I believe? Or maybe it was Blade 3. It may have been Blade 2. I don't remember 100%. But, anyways, you see him in there, you look at his arms, and I'm sorry, but not all of the weightlifting in the world could have, you know, made you that big. He was really hitting up the steroids. There's no doubt about it. And I don't know if I've necessarily heard anything about Triple H using steroids, but, you know, you put two and two together, it makes sense. Even in this picture here, he doesn't exactly look like that, like how he did in the movie. I mean, he's completely shaved down compared to what he was in the movie. His action figure, again, like Sting, Goldberg, 1, 2, 3 Kids 6 figure later on. It is garbage, and it's sad because it is actually, you know, pants-wise, I like the little display on the pants, the emblems. They do give him that little arch in the back, like a bunch of other figures, which to me makes no sense again because, you know, like your Jimmy Snuka and Shawn Michaels figures, etc. from Hasbro, when you push that little piece down, the head pops up. Well, why would you put it on here if he doesn't do that, just a jumping motion, when you didn't do it to, you know, didn't do it to Sting? You know what? I lied. Sting does have it. Because it's, you know, it's black and it's bleeding in with the rest of the shirt, I didn't notice it. And I was rubbing my hand over this like 20 times. And I didn't even feel that. But yeah, he does have it. My mistake. Still, I mean, if his errands were like this, okay. But like this? What? Why? Mattel, why? And you know Mattel, they're still going to come out with new figures. And you know they're still going to use this exact same body type. And because so many adult collectors pick these figures up, of course they're going to keep buying them. Even if they absolutely despise the figures. You know, why would Mattel want to switch things up, use different body types? I mean, if they want to stick with the same body molds of other figures, that's fine. Just this mold needs to be trash, 100%. Alright, so that is the 6 figures of the 2017 Series 2 release of the Mattel Retros. There were actually 4 different series released in 2017, so the next 3 series we're going to look at, 3, 4, 5, and those are all going to be from 2017 until we jump into 2018 and 19. Once we get out of 2019, I'm sure I'll let you guys know, the series ended in 2019, but was reinstated in 2022 with Mattel Creations, bringing the line back with their first wave of figures. But once we get to that Wave 1/Series 11, you know, we'll discuss that again more in detail as well. So, alright guys, so that is it for now for these particular figures and for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and of course, leave a comment as always if you'd like. I always love hearing from you, and I will talk to you in the comments and see you in the next video. Goodbye, everybody.